Welcome back everyone, hope you're all keeping well. It's definitely been a minute. So yeah, well today we've got the WhiskeyTown Lite, the mountain goat. We're going to get this finally all built. Obviously the first part of the video that was filmed about a week ago. And then yeah, so it's taken me, I've had loads of stuff going off. Spent a lot of time at the hospital and stuff like that. So yeah, busy life, it is what it is. But it's all about bikes today. So we are finally going to get this thing built. Now I've laid out loads of parts on the side, absolutely fantastic. Ultra rare, some ultra rare bits, great condition, no old stock bits. It's all laid out. We're going to get to it. Let's get this built, because as soon as this is done I need to move on to other stuff, because I'm so far behind on where I wanted to be at this point of the year with projects and things like that. So I've got kind of a backlog that I want to get done. before the crap weather turns up. So on that note, thanks for everyone that's subscribed to the channel. Thanks for everyone that's put like loads of kind words in the comment section on the last few videos about my dad and so on. Really appreciated. Hopefully we'll have him out of hospital sometime soon. And yeah, thanks ever so much for the support. So on that note, let's get some bits on this bike and let's start building. First off, we're going to get some handlebars in this, because if I can get the handlebars on, it means I can get the levers on and all the rest of it. Just putting a bit of anti-slip paste in there, commonly used on carbon and things like that, but it works wonders for handlebars and so on. So the handlebars that we're using are the Ritchie FD6061T6. Super light bars, super nice flat bar. And it will just go with the common theme that we're going to be doing on this bike. So handlebars in, and then we'll move on to the other bits. Just nip them up for now. Beautiful. Well, with this bike we had a few options. Now in terms of the levers, we actually had these are the stamped Ritchie Logic levers. We actually had the full lever powder coated because they was absolutely battered, and they came out really nice. If you look, came out super nice, all cleaned up, all rebuilt, did all the springs, so they both nice, because one of the springs was totally knackered, so ultimately I had to rebuild and create a new spring, which was spot on. In terms of shifters, again, these are things I've been chipping away at during the week, in just clearing my head and stuff like that. But we've got the XT Fummies. Now these was absolutely knackered, so I took off the covering because they was all peeling, water was getting in there, so now you busy frame them, so you'll get a better picture, you'll get a better image of that at the end anyway. In terms of brake arms, so what we have got is we've got a set of silver Ritchie Logic brake arms, no old stock, and it was an option whether we go for them, or if we can rebuild the brake arms, we're going to go for the stamped Ritchie Logic black cantilevers. Again, no old stock, absolutely beautiful. They'll look better, you'll get a better view of those when they're actually on the bike. So for now, we're going to get the stuff on the handlebars. And oh yeah, grips. Let me flip it around. So this is the thing. We'll get, let's have a look. We'll put the Fummies on. Make sure they're the right way around. I'm going to loosely put these on for now. Got our Fummies. Come on. If this is the first time tuning into this video, go and actually look at when this came in as a barn find video. Just because we have replaced obviously all the rusted cantilever mount and so on. It had different bars, different everything, so it's like a basically ground up build, this one is, but we're kind of keeping it in keeping, and it's going to look absolutely awesome. So Fummies on, and then now we'll get the painted brake levers on, because my idea is if I get everything on the handlebars, and then I can go straight to the wheels, and then once the wheels are on, because the wheels are all together already, they came to me like that. Once the wheels are on, I can put everything on the floor, and then I'm going to set all these up with the wheels on, and then that way, if this video don't get finished today and I need to kind of go back to the hospital and stuff, and it means I can park it and it sits nice, rather than at the moment, well, for probably the last week or so, this has been sat lying down on the dining room table, and the wife has been having to eat dinner on her lap in the living room, and she's not happy. So we've also got Ritchie grips, not no old stock, but absolutely fantastic condition. So a bit of alcohol on there, a bit of isopropanol. That will just give me the opportunity to move these into place. And again, like I say, once the bike has got wheels on, which we're going to get to in a second, that will then mean I can stand the bike up loveless. So we'll line them up, but that already, Wow. Okay. We're cooking on gas. Let's get to wheels. I'm dying to show you these wheels. Absolutely beautiful. Right, okay, let's flip the camera. Let me move some stuff, then we'll flip the camera. In terms of wheels for this bike, we wanted some obviously the old wheels, I did actually, they had silver hubs, silver XT hubs on Mavic rims. They needed hub services, everything. I have redone them wheels, they're for a different build down the line. So in terms of this bike, what we're going to be putting on, because we want to kind of go with the same kind of theme, keep it kind of all together so it looks mint and it's going to work absolutely fantastic. So what we've actually got is, so basically this wheel set has got the XT hubs on there, and it's got the Campag really nice rims again, super retro, super nice. It's also got a 7-speed Red Label cassette on there, and we're running the Ritchie Megabyte, wherever it's gone. Yeah, it's the Ritchie Megabyte Z Max, no old stock tyres, even got all the like the little dinkly bits on there, so they've never been ridden, so they're mint. So and they've got some super nice, I'm not too sure what these are, but them skewers are super nice. I don't know if the old XT, I will ask my friend whose bike it is, I'm not too sure on that. But they're super nice. So that's the back one, all ready to go. And then the front is exactly the same, matching hub, matching rims, matching tyres, everything is matching. Looks absolutely beautiful. So I think for the next thing for this one is get the wheels in, get everything lined up on that, on the handlebars, and then fingers crossed I don't have to shoot off. But if I do, the bike will then sit perfectly in the bike stand in the dining room where I normally keep the builds. So let's get the wheels on and go from there. Oh, bicycle, mountain goats. Alright, get that perfectly lined up. The sweep, well, it's not really sweep, it's flat bar, but I like the logos lined up nice and equal as well, so we'll knit them up. And again, everything I'm doing is get them lined up a little bit better as well, and then we'll find a great position for those levers, ideally at 45-degree angle, so we'll make sure they're spot on as well, so I'll give them a little nip up. And then the shifters are sitting nice, so they can get nipped up. Beautiful. Lovely. So the cool thing about this is the only two things I think that is the original that came on this bike when it came out the barn was one, the rear derailleur. As you can see, that's polished, clean. I'd done basically a full strip down, replaced that bolt, replaced the inner adjuster because it was all rusty, gave it a really good polish. And then same with the front derailleur, gave that a really good polish as well. And then basically put a new bolt in the actual cable clamp, and then a new bolt in the actual, because they was all rusty, so replace those. So they're both super shiny. They're original what came on the bike. You know, most of these frames was like custom built anyway. I don't think most of these was kind of built to spec, like in terms of what you wanted. I don't think there was like came out of just a factory standard, so to speak. So we can definitely get that rear mech on now. I've already greased up the mant for that, so that can go on, and then I think we'll get the brakes on, and then we'll move to the bottom bracket. Now, I've never actually seen one of these bottom brackets in person. I've only ever seen one in old kind of MBK magazines and so on, back when I was like a teenager. So back in the 90s, I was like seeing this stuff in magazines, and I just never thought that I'd generally physically hold them. So we'll get that rear mech on, get the brake arms on. It kind of just falls together at this point. I think it's therapeutic, you know what I mean? It's when I'm in here building and kind of reviving something and just putting things back to just absolute stunning, beautiful finishes, it really, really makes me feel happy. Let's get some more bits on. So the wheels are off again, and that's because we're putting on the brake arms, and I just found that it's easier to put them on, the wheels aren't on. So we're going to locate and fit these in. Let's set these so spring is in the middle hole, and what I'm going to do is, so I've got some no old stock bolts as well for these. I'm just going to nip them in. I think the black looks absolutely stunning. I'm going to have to turn that pad. So, right. Spin that pad. There we are. And we'll get the next one on. Where's my bolts? There's my bolts. Can't turn that pad. Slacken that off just a little bit so I can turn that pad. There we are. They feel super smooth, to be fair. So bottom bracket, we're going to get bottom bracket in. Now, have you seen one of these? This is absolutely stunning. So it's a nice, it's not new, but it's in relatively really good condition. Syncross bottom bracket, and they both slide off. They have got sealed bearings in, and we have got a set of replacement sealed bearings if needed, but they're running silky smooth and really nice. So we're not going to replace the bearings because get the life out of these ones as much as possible. So that is absolutely stunning. Just a thing to note, so on the actual ends, so they are labelled left hand and right hand as well, just so you're not going to cross thread the bottom bracket. You'll know which one goes in which side then. And then obviously once they're in, they both have lock rings as well. Fantastic. So we're going to get that in, get this fitted in, and then we can go on to the crank, get the bottom bracket on. Then we're pretty much plain sailing really to the end. So if any of you are wondering I've already copper slipped, put a little bit of grease around the inside on that sealed bearing, and just dabbed a little bit of copper slip on those threads as well. These bottom brackets run 6903 RS. 6903 RS, yeah. 6903 RS bearings. So they're common bearings really, so you can pick them up relatively easy. So if you was to ever buy one of these, don't think, oh no, can I get the bearings? You'll be able to get the bearings. Any decent bearing shop or online or anything like that, you'll be able to get them. So, and then make sure that obviously when you're threading it in, you're going the right way. So the question is what I'm thinking now. This says right hand. Is it right hand of the bike or is it right hand thread? It's a possibility it might be right hand thread. So let me check the other side. See, we're both learning on this one. Right hand thread, right. Told you, never had one of these in my hand before. Right hand thread, not right hand side of the bike. So that means that the left hand is left hand side of the bike. So what I'll do is, because you can see there before I put this in, it is a bit cruddy and a bit dirty in there, so clean all that out, put some grease in there, and then obviously we can slide the axle in. Well, you've got to slide the axle in before you put that in anyway, and then use the right tools. So here we are. So I've just cleaned and greased up that entire axle just to stop it from seizing, rusting, you name it. So that's in. And then the drive side cup, as I said, I've cleaned all that off. Bit of grease in there, bit of copper slip on the outside. Already greased the actual thing, the bottom bracket shell. Just keep all the elements out, and then we can basically just screw that in. Lovely. Now in terms of the tool, this is what I use. So I just use the proper solid 2-pin. This is the HCW-4. That really fits in really nice on that bottom bracket, because the pins are quite deep as well. You generally don't get any chance of kind of like any kind of major slipping. As long as you keep that like virtually nice and straight, you can basically just, because there is one or two. Molly, what are you doing? Not putting that out, the dog's gone weird. So there is a few tooling marks on the bottom bracket from where obviously, like I say, it wasn't no old stock. So yeah, so all we've got to do now is screw all them up and then just double check to make sure you've got those little lock rings locked up as well. So I'll screw both of these cups in and then we'll do the final lock up on there, and then that's the bottom bracket in, then we can get the crank and front mech on. So absolutely fantastic. So I've gone through board, right, that one's in, lovely, look at that. Yeah, lovely. Right, look at this side, just start screwing this side in. Well, here we go. So bottom bracket 68, that turns out to be, I took it back out now, the Syncross one is a 68 frame, 673 bottom bracket. Pain in the bum. I'm not going to cut that out. Most YouTubers or people that create videos would probably edit the video and then just go with the option that I'm doing now, but I'm not like that. I'm just going to leave that in anyway, just so you can see that even people get it wrong. We was going to use a Richie Logic crank. Now, not in bad condition at all. I've just messaged my friend. He's going to bring over something else. So we're not going with that, and we're not going with that. However, thinking about it, the brakes are Richie, and so on, but the gearing's XT, so I think we're going to go with an XT crankset and the XT bottom bracket. Now the XT crankset and the bottom bracket I took out of this is generally mint anyway after I serviced it and cleaned it all up and gave it in back, so I think that's where the direction that we're generally going to go in. So I'll go and wrap this up, and yeah, we'll go with something different. Well, while we're waiting for the bottom bracket, might as well fit the saddle. We're going for an old titanium Flight, one of the older ones, not the kind of new modern remake ones. So slip this one over them. Love this seat post. I will ask him what the seat post this is when it comes over. I do like the seat post a lot. It looks cool. Right, so looks like that is going to sit lovely. So nip them up, get them nice and tight, get that equal. There we are, saddle, Flight, Bosch. Oh, it's in the bike stand on the floor. I'll take that out just to make sure I've got the height right, the level of it right. That looks awesome. There we are, another job done. Right, on to the next bit. Here we are, another day, another dollar, literally another day, a different day. Bish bash bosh, we're back again. So in this, we're not going with the original bottom bracket, we're actually putting in a cartridge, UN71, which is an XT variant cartridge. It has been used before, but that is silky smooth, beautiful. So we're going with that, so I'm going to bosh that in, and then we're going to bish the crank on, and then yeah, so we'll get that on, and then we'll jump to the crank, and then start finishing this bad boy up. Well, that went in. So crankset we are going to put on is an XT one, so really nice. This is the original one, the original that came off it. I've cleaned it all up and it's all been polished, so it's relatively nice. So that means we're going to keep the whole kind of gearing system XT, Shimano XT, then the braking system is going to be the Ritchie part. So we can put this crank on, and as always I'm just going to put a little bit of copper slip on the axle of the bottom bracket, so we can just literally bomb these on. Beautiful. So the new bolts, we're going to put new bolts. We've actually got some Seguno, some nice chrome bolts as well. So we'll get them on, get them torqued on, and then it's front mech time. Come on, click in, you little git. before I go any further, I've got to start getting on to... I've got loads of finishing touches on this bike that I want to do. I've still got to put the chain on as well. Obviously, we haven't got that far yet. Dropping cables. But I'm going to get on to popping some cables in. Because it's one of the main last things I've got to do, really. So, I'm going to get some cables in. And... start basically finalizing this bike. One, I want to get it done so I can move on to the next bike. The next bike is a resto mod, which should be quite nice, to be fair. And that will be started straight after this one. So, well, that one's been a pain because I can't see. Let's see if I can see this one. I'll move these shifters up. I just realised I set them where I wanted to be, but they're slightly in the way for the adjusters. So we'll crack on getting these cables in, and we'll move on to some of the final juicy touches on the back. There we go. Don't know why that seemed to be a lot more difficult than it had to be. It's just literally locate the cable in that holder just there and then run it through there. But hey, you lot have seen me do some cables. I'm going to do some cables and we'll get back to a bit more of the juicy stuff straight after this. I got some brake cables on. Well, sort of. I've got a few wide up to the point where they're just kind of hanging off the bike for now. I'm going to come back to them in a second. I want to get the chain on because then all that's left is the cables and a few little finishing touches that will just make this bike look amazing anyway. So I'm going to put this on. Now I'm going to go and set this up small to small and check it when it's big to big anyway, but I know that it's going to be spot on once I do that. Because of the old chain. So make a little cut here. So we'll push that pin out, get the chain on, and then flick back to working on the brakes and the gears. So here we are, just a quick run through on where we're at with this, because I've kind of had to jump to the finished, completed kind of thing. So looking at the gears, obviously from the last video we obviously got the chain on and I popped all the cables on, just some basic Shimano cables, getting everything running in. So I'm at the point now where I'm just fine tuning everything and kind of just running through the gears, but the thumb shifters are working really nice, getting these kind of gears really dialed in, lovely. Still got one or two final little minute tweaks to do, but all in all, needs all of that chain as well because it's dry, but everything is now working lovely. The brakes, if you want to come over here, bike shed girl, come on, come in, say hello if you want to.
Hello if you want to.
Hello, hello if you want to. So for the brakes, we actually decided to use these little black hangers. Now these are very different from the normal kind of die comp ones, because these have actually got the grub screws on the back, so you can really dial in the brakes and really get them really dialed in and really nice. So we've done that for front and back, got them on, and then moving down to the bottle cage. Really like this.
To the cat!
So the bottle cage is super nice. This is a nice USA one, and I really like the details on that. Really classic kind of looking. Now with the mountain goat, obviously the actual bosses, you're all over with that bloody camera. So the bosses are quite capsulated, so the bolt doesn't go all the way through the frame because they're just brazed on. So the bolts have to be really stubby. So at the moment I don't have really any type of really small bolts. So what I've done is I've used some bottle cage spacers just for them now, and then basically same underneath there. So if my friend does want to kind of get smaller bolts later on down the line just to kind of make that look more classy, then that's fantastic. And then for the front, you can see the front brake as well, using that same mount. We've really dialed them brakes in as well. So all in all, yes cats, we can hear you. So we've really dialed it in, and everything is looking really sweet. Pass me the camera, you're all over the place.
The cat left the dog.
You've got
no,
bloody...
the dog.
Right, look. Right. Got a cat, a bloody snake, and a dog. And Bike Shed Girls Crocs. And a snake. So basically, just final thoughts to wrap this up before I give you the kind of shot of the bike outside in the sun in all its glory. This bike took so long, obviously in and out of going to the hospital to see my dad and so on. I've also now got a cold, so over the next couple of days I can't go to the hospital anyway, so I'm just going to be pottering around at home. I did need to get this done because it's been such a long time. It's been in my dining room, it's been in the living room, it's been everywhere, parts everywhere. This is now done. We might see it back at some point. I can now hand this over to my friend. He can get some pedals on it, and he rides his bikes hard. So this is going to get some serious riding, especially over the next couple of months before the crap weather comes. He's going to be out on this. So I'll wait to get his feedback, but I'm sure he's going to love it, every part of this. It looks stunning. It's ultra super rare, and it's a beautiful bike. I think the outcome of having that XT crank for me just feels better anyway, because it does keep all the XT gear in XT, and then the brakes are obviously Ritchie. It looks stunning, it looks the part. She's a classy lady, she is an absolute classy lady. So to end that, I appreciate everyone that's put kind words on other videos and been to see my dad on his channel as well. Really appreciate that. And onwards and upwards on to the next one, but we'll have to see how things go. The next one is a resto mod. It's another Trek 930. Got a new one, got a different one. Well, it's not new, it's old, but I'm going to resto mod it. So keep an eye out for the next video. I appreciate, as always, just tuning in, watching. If you got this far, appreciate that as well. On to the next one. Yeah, and well, I'll show you the bike in all its glory outside in the sun. So as always, stay safe, look after each other, and always wear an helmet if possible, and I'll see you on the next one.